Hi everybody, and welcome to my video number 11 in my EFT series. And this time I decided to do a video about perfectionism and helping you to clear the desire to need to be perfect. And it really follows on from the previous videos which I made for Christmas and for New Year's resolutions, because the reason why people get stressed up about Christmas is because there is this desire to have everything perfect. And same with New Year's resolutions, people abandon those because there is this desire to need to be perfect, and then they procrastinate, and then they get frustrated because they haven't started on the New Year's resolution, which gets them into a vicious cycle of, oh, I can't do that, I'm not good enough, and everything else. So yeah, so I'm making this video, and that video is not perfect either. I always think what I'm going to say, and then it's just as I come along I make it all up. It really is me feeling how I feel. Sometimes I rehearse it, but then it's completely different because I'm really trying to feel how it feels for me to give you an authentic experience. And if I was saying to myself, oh, I need to make this perfect, I would probably still be here this time next year, and I would be still not getting on with it. So just go for things. Don't worry about things being not perfect. I have a friend of mine has given me a canvas, and so I just went along and I just had fun. I did this beautiful picture of a sunshine, and I'm no artist. I never will, I never was, but I just have fun. I just give it all and I enjoy doing that. And you know, it's like people, you know, sometimes I see photos of people and then they make themselves looking perfect for the photo shoot, and then every now and then they will put a picture and they feel they're not perfect, so they always say, sorry, I apologize, my picture is not perfect. But you know, it's just good they share themselves being as authentic as they are. And you know, I never bother doing my hair up or anything. I hardly ever kind of comb it, and then I don't have to worry about appearing somewhere if I'm not in my best, because I'm always the same. You know, I never spend time doing my hair or anything. My son says to me, oh, if you comb your hair, you know, he'll calculate it. If you comb your hair for a certain amount of minutes every day, how much you would lose in your entire life. I don't know how many days he came up, but it makes me always kind of laugh when he does that, because he likes to think in those terms, you know, like, well, why should I do that? I will lose this amount of my life I could actually enjoy. And he's right in that respect. So let's start with the tapping. So just feel in yourself, tune in, just take a deep breath and tune in, and try to rate yourself where you are in the perfectionist scale, where 0 is I don't bother at all about it, and 10, oh, it's as worst it can ever be. And then once you have established that, then start tapping on that desire or the need to be perfect. So we start on the karate chop, and you say, even though I need to be perfect, I need to be perfect all the time. What will people think of me if I'm not perfect? I love and accept myself just the way I am. Even though I need to be perfect, what will people think of me? This desire to be perfect, it makes me so tired. And yes, it is just so exhausting. This desire in us to be perfect, it just exhausts us. It's just so exhausting to have to be this perfect. I completely love and accept myself the way I am. So even though I need to be perfect, what will they think of me if I don't give it 100%? I love and accept myself anyway. So I need to be perfect. What will people think of me if I'm not? I must get it right. I need to be perfect. What will people think of me if I'm not? I must get it right. I must be perfect. I need to be perfect. I have to be perfect. I must be perfect. I must get everything done perfectly. I need to be perfect. What will people think of me? People will judge. People will judge me if I'm not perfect. So take a deep breath. Now, anything shifted? And then we'll continue tapping. But just something I want to share with you. Yesterday I watched a program where they train 16 and 17-year-old youngsters for the army, and it was just so incredible how everything had to be perfect, but it didn't really have to be so perfect. It's just that the discipline, the drill had to be so strict that if you know, they were checking their clothes, and if the clothes wasn't on perfectly, they were given a fail. Now, like, you know, if you go and fight for your country, it doesn't matter how well your shirt is ironed or anything like that. But you know, also just think about it. It doesn't matter how many times you give it. You learn from your mistake. And look at little children. You know, just they build a castle. They don't say, "Oh, this is not perfect." They just, if it's not perfect, they build it again. They have another go. They don't worry. So they fall over when the little babies are learning to walk. They fall over and they don't give it much thought. They just pick themselves up and they go on, and they really are operating from a place of love till they hear society and others tell them things, and then fear creeps in, and that's where all this anxiety and stress comes from. And also, you know, like I always used to be perfect, or I always had to be perfect, and I always wanted to have the best marks in everything. And you know, when my sons went to school, and they were not always best in everything, and for me it was a kind of relief. You know, they were doing very well, but not in everything. And you know, I kind of thought, well, that's much better than me, who always had this need to be perfect. And of course, I explained in my previous videos, it was connected to, you know, if I was doing well, then I was getting love. And you know, another thing is like you know, about the perfectionism. A lot of people will become perfect because they have almost got perfect results. You know, they've got the A's in everything, but then there is one subject and they get B in it, and the parents or whoever comes and say, well, what happened to there? Why didn't you give it your all? And then that person will then have the desire to be even more perfect, be even more worried, you know, about the results. And this is something also, like, if you put up, sometimes people are scared to shine. So I did a teacher training 14 or 15 years ago. I wanted to teach modern foreign languages, and you know, I kind of knew that I was a bit ill. Well, a bit more than a little bit more than just a little bit ill. And I kind of was a bit anxious and worried as I did the course, because I kept saying to myself, well, how can I teach if I'm always so ill and so tired? But I didn't want to listen to these voices, and I was going to give it a go nevertheless. And I'm here in my very first exam, teaching 16 to 18-year-old group Spanish, and the teacher my tutor is impressed with me because I've done a really good job of it. But then during my next assessment, I teach this group of 11, 12-year-olds, and it's not that easy because there you have to control their behavior as well. And it was at an age and stage of the learning curve when people started to do PowerPoint presentations where smart boards came up, and as well as that I had to put it all up into a computer program so that it would just run smoothly, one thing after another. So I would just connect it to my laptop, and that wasn't something I was very comfortable and happy with. But nevertheless, the fact that I performed very well and the second time I've done worse, that didn't feel me good. And then what happens, I didn't do the third exam or whatever because I then got ill and I could never complete it. And in a way, illness sometimes steps in if there is fear, like, oh, I better fall ill because I might do even worse. I mean, it wasn't like that. I would have liked to have completed the course, but my illness never allowed that. But I'm instead doing these videos and I'm having fun. And I did make some games to help children learn math and modern foreign languages, and I'm hoping to be doing more with that. But let's go back to the tapping and just notice where you are now. I mean, has the intensity of the tapping gone down? I mean, of the intensity of the perfectionism in you, has it gone down or has it even gone up? Anything is fine. There is no right or wrong. It's just an indication what you need to do next. And tapping more and more will help you. And what I always say is, where do you feel it in your body? Where do you feel, where do you store this desire to be perfect in your body? And then tap on that, tap on wherever it feels. I often feel a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders, so I often tap on that, and I tap on letting go of that feeling of whatever there is, anxiety, perfectionism, all the rest. Just tap where you feel it, what emotion is there associated with that. Just tap on that. Do you see any colors? Like yesterday I was doing an exercise about setting my goals, and I imagined it in colors. And I don't usually like pink, but I saw pink and I saw blue around it. And so, tap on anything which comes up. So tap on that image. If, for example, you could tap on that image, if, like image of sun, sparkle, bright sunshine, healing energy, whatever comes up. So to round up the tapping, let's do one more of a tapping round. And in that tapping round, because what I always do is at the beginning, I tap on the negatives, and once we clear the negatives, I then tap on the positives to allow you more of the positives into your life. So even though I've got this desire to be perfect, I allow this desire, I allow to let it go. So letting go of this desire to be perfect. I'm letting go of this desire to be perfect. So even though I've got this desire to be perfect, everything's got to be perfect, I allow to let it go. So this desire to be perfect, I allow fun to have instead, because once the desire to be perfect goes, then we can allow for all the fun, all the laugh, all the enjoyment of life, the beauty. Then we are able to see the beauty of life. There's so much beauty in this garden, so many lovely animals, and the energy of them, watching the squirrels jump from branch to branch, even though one fell the other day. It was quite funny. I was lying here on the trampoline, one squirrel goes down, but still it's beautiful to watch the energy and to help us to appreciate all that, because we are in all this perfectionism, we don't allow ourselves to open up to the beauty of life, to the fun of life, the beauty of life, the fun we can have. So much fun. So take a deep breath and allow yourself to have more fun. And there's not really any need to be perfect. And as I said, it drains our energies. We're so exhausted, and then you see people, they always have the excuse, I can't do this, that and the other, and then our lives end up being just all this unpleasant stuff which we don't enjoy. So enjoy life. Tap on this. If you tap on on the perfectionism, the need to be perfect, that will also help you to do any of your New Year's resolutions, or any of your resolutions, any of your goals. And I'm learning more about goal setting and actually writing it down, because I always say, oh, my goals, I have it in my head. I think, well, there's no need to write it down, because my son always makes notes and everything, and I never do. I kind of feel it's in my head, but it is actually a good thing to write it down and see how you progress. And yeah, just allow yourself to experiment. There is really no need to be perfect. Just try it again and again and have fun. So see you next time. All the best.